A night out.
Forget any alcohol beverages to drink.
Lights dimmed.
I want you to follow the tip of my pen with your eyes and your eyes only.
Drinks flowing.
You will be asked to give a specimen of your breath and or blood.
Police may be in full force during a no refusal initiative, but does it work?
No refusal is a designated time when detectives get a warrant to check your blood alcohol content if you refuse a breathalyzer during a DWI.
In the past, we've seen these initiatives happen at night, but KXAN investigator Kylie McGivern has learned for the first time during next month's South by Southwest, Austin police will start in the middle of the afternoon to catch those early drinkers.
Yes, keep in mind though, police say the goal isn't just for those dates, that no refusal should be a deterrent to drinking and driving anytime. Our team analyzed Austin's DWI crashes from the last year and found a 42% average increase on no refusal dates compared to dates with no such enforcement, which made us wonder, are the millions of public dollars spent on no refusal initiatives actually keeping you safer from drunk drivers?
They had the biggest hearts you'd ever come across. The morning of the accident, as I was walking out the door to go to the bus stop, I turned one extra time and looked at my mom and said, "I love you, goodbye." Just like that, not realizing that I was saying goodbye forever.
4 years ago, Brandy Clopton lost both of her parents in a Northwest Austin crash.
It still feels like yesterday, and that's the thing. It's gonna feel like it was yesterday for the rest of my life.
Even though a no refusal initiative was not in effect when this woman hit the couple's car, Brandy wonders if the program's goal to deter drunk driving all year is actually working.
911. What's your emergency?
It's these types of crashes that prompted Texas law enforcement agencies to begin no refusal initiatives back in 2005. The state's Department of Transportation started distributing grants 4 years later. Records show in the past decade, the agency has given out more than $410 million federal, state, and local dollars on alcohol and other drug countermeasures.
It was at 3:30 in the afternoon.
A bulk of that money, most of which is federal, goes to impaired driving media campaigns.
Hit head on by a drunk driver.
A lot also goes to law enforcement agencies applying for no refusal grants to fund more staffing and resources during those designated hours.
You will be asked to give a specimen of your breath and or blood.
The Austin Police Department received more than $1.5 million in grants last year, helping support a record 142 no refusal dates.
I can smell an odor like an alcoholic beverage in your breath.
If I were to just say point blank, is no refusal effective? How would you answer that?
I would say yes.
But when it comes to data for Austin police to back up that claim,
it's hard to track whether they track their arrest from beginning all the way through conviction.
KXAN examined Austin's DWI crashes for 2017. While no refusal was in effect just over a third of the year, about half of all those crashes happened during that initiative. But is that the best way to measure success?
It is something that we would love to be able to pin down 100%. This is how we evaluate that program. I don't know specifically how we would do that.
Which is why 4 years ago, TxDOT commissioned this Texas A&M Transportation Institute to study the effectiveness of no refusal.
At this point, I think right now the jury's still out. In order for us to be able to definitively say that no refusal is effective, there has to be more research.
TxDOT does not have a study underway.
Maybe we need more of a bird's eye view to make sure all of this is being spent correctly.
We're always interested in any area that we can help address our identified problems here in the state.
Take a deep breath and blow out. It smells like you've recently been drinking. We're going to arrest you for DWI.
So impaired driving continues to be a significant problem for us.
A problem Brandy says might be solved faster with a different approach, beyond no refusal.
People are drinking and getting behind the wheel, thinking they can do it. I just feel like there should be more done on a daily basis.
The Texas Transportation Institute 2014 study we mentioned says people were largely unaware of how no refusal has impacted DWI fatalities and crashes. But at least one law enforcement agency is listed as saying it's more effective at catching and prosecuting because of the program. And APD backed that up, saying the evidence from blood draws gives prosecutors a much stronger case against drunk drivers in the courtroom.
And Kylie, that's something your fellow investigator Brittany Glass has been digging into.
Tonight, KXAN investigator Brittany Glass reveals a new aggressive team that's working to hold more drivers accountable for that deadly behavior in court and hopefully warn others before they get behind the wheel. Brittany?
It's called the Vehicular Crimes Special Prosecutions Unit, and until now, the DA's office hasn't had anything quite like this before. Since 2013, they say there have been 158 vehicular fatality cases resolved in Travis County. Only 67 cases, or a little more than 40%, have been prosecuted to a verdict or a plea. But here's the big change. A bulk of those happened just last year when the new administration took office.
Basically, everyone in our community is a potential victim of one of these cases. So the threat to everyone is very real. It's very concerning.
Drivers killing innocent people each year on Travis County streets.
I lived for them. So, like, what am I supposed to do now?
He was my only son, taken too soon and too suddenly.
We live every day not knowing why she made such a terrible decision, why my parents had to die.
From failure to stop and render aid to criminally negligent homicide and even intoxication manslaughter, the punishments for these crimes under scrutiny for years.
Travis County does not have a good track record when it comes to sentencing drunk drivers who kill people.
Critics often point to the case of Gabrielle Nestande. In a 2011 hit-and-run accident, she killed Courtney Griffin, a nanny, out for an early morning walk. A jury sentenced Nestande to probation.
Moving forward, since we got 2 in the water, we're not sure if there's more inside the car, but it just went under.
Or the case of Madeline Rackley. Dramatic APD video shows the night in 2012 she drove down a boat ramp into Lady Bird Lake. A friend in the back seat drowned. Rackley served just 10 days in jail. Like Nestande, she was driving drunk. But in the past year, under a new administration, the Travis County District Attorney's Office is getting more aggressive with the revamped Vehicular Crimes Special Prosecutions Unit.
This type of crime is entirely preventable.
Matthew Foy, who heads up the unit, wants to send a clear message to drivers.
If you commit a vehicular crime in this county and your conduct fits under a felony statute, we will prosecute you. We will hold you accountable before the community.
Foy says his team's work begins on scene, laying the groundwork for cases that make it to court. He's on call 24/7.
You have the scene itself and accident reconstruction, anything physical from the vehicles. You have possible chemical evidence, blood, alcohol samples that have intoxication. You have witnesses to talk to. If we can create more thorough investigations with stronger evidence, then when we present these cases to the jurors, they would be maybe more likely to give a harsher sentence.
It happened in December when a jury sentenced Sean Amendi to 28 years in prison for killing Malika Smith in 2015, driving drunk in North Austin.
And we hope that he's behind bars for a long time, just so he can't impact the lives of anybody else negatively like this.
From 2013 through 2016, the DA's office only prosecuted between 8 and 14 felony vehicular fatality cases each year. That is until last year, when we saw a sharp increase to 22 cases closed. To achieve that result and guarantee time behind bars at all, Foy says in some cases, plea deals are necessary.
One of the primary roles of a prosecutor is to assess the likelihood at trial of getting a conviction in the first place.
Like the case of Michelle Orduna, driving the wrong way on I-35 in 2015, she hit Clayton Keller's car. He died on scene. This month, Orduna accepted a deal from the DA, pleading guilty to intoxication manslaughter and sentenced to 9 years in prison.
You are living with a 9-year sentence, while we are stuck here living a life sentence.
It was a plea deal that did not satisfy Keller's family.
I hope you know that you're getting off extremely easy. There are people that are serving a lot longer sentences than you that have done the exact same thing.
Foy says he understands the community is ready for harsher sentences for these crimes, and that's his goal as the unit makes more progress.
A lot of the efforts that we've been working on in vehicular crime special prosecution have been to sort of kind of raise those initial punishment recommendations,
with the hope of preventing tragedy for other families in the future.
My son and I have to live with the choice you made. We have lost so much more due to your decision of driving drunk. I lost my husband, and our son lost his dad.
prosecuting these types of crimes is challenging enough, and police have their own set of challenges. Take, for example, the number of calls APD responds to for failure to stop and render aid. Since 2015 and through the first half of last year, there were 849 calls. But during that same time period, they were only able to make 148 arrests. That's when the state stepped in to try to help. In recent years, the legislature has actually increased the penalty for that crime, failure to stop and render aid involving death, to equal the punishment for intoxication manslaughter, a second-degree felony. The hope is more people will consider the consequences before fleeing the scene. In Austin, Brittany Glass, KXAN Investigates. Back to you.
Thanks, Brittany. If you thought the number of failure to stop and render aid calls was staggering, consider another crime.
Austin police have fielded more than 6,800 calls for someone leaving the scene of a crash in just the last 2.5 years. If you missed last night's report on the effectiveness of law enforcement's No Refusal initiative, we have a link to it in this story in the investigative section of KXAN.com.